nahtlos eher zwischen TV und PC, linear und nicht linear, zwischen iPhone und iPad hin und her pendelt. Das ist der Generation der heute 11-Jährigen natürlich geschuldet, das können sie. Aber was bedeutet das eigentlich wirklich für Broadcast-Technologien und was bedeutet es für das Transportieren, die Distribution von Video? Wenn wir uns das Chart, was wir vorhin vom BCG gesehen haben, mit dieser gebundenen Straße nochmal genauer anschauen, eine Zahl dahinter legen, in den letzten 2 Jahren sind mehr Videostreaming-Plattformen gestartet worden als in allen Jahren davor. Ich will sagen, wir haben hier eine Explosion an Videokonsum. Wie können wir mit diesem Videokonsum umgehen? Was müssen wir eigentlich tun, um das zu schaffen? Das werden die Fragen sein, die wir heute diskutieren. Und bei all dieser Technik- und technologischen Diskussion dürfen wir eins nicht vergessen: Video ist ein wahnsinnig emotionales Produkt. Es ist Geschichte, es ist Information, es ist Emotion, der Film als das ganz frühe emotionale Medium. Deswegen ist Video so wichtig und deswegen wird Video immer überleben. Und die Frage ist, in welcher Form und in welchem Konsum. Ich würde Will nun bitten, uns in einem kurzen Vortrag seinen Blick auf die Welt, The World According to Will, bitte.
Thank you, Marcus. So I'm quickly going to go through some slides just to set the stage for our discussion. And I apologize, I am not smart enough to speak English and German, so my part will be in English. You may know Akamai as a company. We are probably the largest CDN in the world. We distribute video content. About 20 to 30% of all internet traffic moves through our servers. So we're a good proxy to look at the rise of OTT, because the bulk of our traffic, about 70% of the traffic today, is pure video traffic, and that'll probably grow to about 80–85% in the future. So if we go back 10 years ago, exactly from today, this is our traffic chart, and we were proud of it at the time. And on this day, March 2nd, we were doing 131 gigabits per second. And at the time, that was a fantastic amount of traffic. And this represented the forefront of delivery. But if we fast forward 10 years ago to today, that traffic has shrunk down to the point where it's less than 1 pixel on our chart. And right now, this week, in fact, last week with some of the soccer games in Europe, we pushed 33 terabits per second. That is a 25,000% growth over the last 10 years. And this is driven by over-the-top video. Now, the smart people in the audience will say, well, if that is the growth we've seen in the last 10 years, then what about the next 10 years? So if we assume just a linear continuation of the same rate of growth, then what looks today like a large chart should shrink down equally. And applying the same multiple 10 years hence, our network alone, Akamai, should look at doing about 8.5 petabits per second, which is sending an 8.5 megabit per second stream to 1 billion people simultaneously. Now, those of you in the audience who do this on a daily basis, you'll shake your head at that concept. But that number seems no more ridiculous for the future than telling people 10 years ago that we would do 33 terabits per second today. It's the same ratio. So our job, we cannot reach this level of distribution throughput with the technologies and deployments we have today. We need to change what we do between today and in 10 years' time in order to achieve this level of throughput. It's driven by World Cup live events. Just to show you some of the soccer games, because I know that's dear to the heart of many here, just under 7 terabits per second back from last World Cup soccer. So we're expecting with the Summer Olympics to be well over 10 terabits per second for a single stream over the top. And that's certainly what we're planning for August of this year. I put this slide in just because it's relevant to our discussion. It is a visual pun. It is the Achilles heel of over-the-air broadcast. Because of the frequencies being used, the wavelengths and the antennas required are large. And what competes with this is what is in your pocket right now. It's a phone. So the cellular industry and the rise of 5G in terms of distribution is a large threat essentially to the over-the-air broadcast industry that we've known in the past. And that's an interesting fact to consider. How does broadcast and broadband combine in the future? And this is the last slide I'm going to go before we go into the discussion. And just introducing a concept of multi-source delivery. Today you're sitting at home and typically you get your video over the top via TCP from edge servers. And this is through a CDN like ourselves, and there are many other solutions for doing that. We might use HTTP1, we might use HTTP2. But this is not the sole monolithic way for us to get data to you. It can also come through an IP multicast enabled network. There's many reasons why we should and perhaps should not be using multicast, and we can explore those. If you can't get multicast all the way through your home router, we can tunnel it through something called AMT. We can do this at the same time as the edge delivery. Then we look at the broadcasters. So in the United States, ATSC3, the next generation of digital broadcast, is an IP pipe into the house. We can leverage it for distribution of high frequency and high capacity events like the Olympics. DVB here in Europe is considering its next generation solution. So data casting from high power, high tower is another option for distribution. UDP delivery from edge servers. So today 99% of traffic coming from us is a TCP protocol, but there's another way to deliver video over IP, which is UDP. It has some issues, but it's also well suited to high throughput conversion. So expect to see more delivery from that. Peer delivery or P2P delivery can also complement all these other solutions. And there's arguments for and against P2P as a distribution architecture, but it's certainly a viable component. LTE broadcast, this is the EMBMS, the ability of a cellular solution to multicast content and make it very, very efficient use of the spectrum, especially as we look to, again, peak events like news or sports. And the ability of a player to seamlessly switch between unicast for long-tail content and multicast over the air for popular content is what will happen in the future. And then something you may not expect, which is space. So two companies, SpaceX and OneWeb, have announced global internet solutions. They will deliver 1 gigabit per second of capacity to anywhere on Earth. And in so doing, they circumvent all the billions of dollars in infrastructure that have been spent doing it terrestrially. And if we're in the distribution business, we should start to think about incumbents that we did not expect. We never looked up for our competition. We always look around. And with that, I'll conclude the slides and we get to the panel.